YouTube says we are live, so welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom, number 219. Half of the gang is here today with Tony and John and Don and Dennis and two other people. I don't know, who cares? What anybody got to talk about? As long as it's slot car related, it's fair game. Working on any projects, get any new toys, do any racing, show and tell, club corner, I don't care. Or we can just chit chat.
Well, something that I got a hold of that surprised me that I even saw it out there, but
Oh yeah, Green Hornet.
Always.
now the thing that I find really amazing about this is not that it's a model of the Green Hornet, but all of us have viewed things on eBay like models and slot cars and that sort of stuff. And usually when I saw one of these advertised on eBay, they wanted $30 and $40 for it.
Yeah.
Or more. There's a place here in Kentucky called Ollie's. I don't know if they have them anywhere where you guys live or not, but it's basically a resale department store. And they had this model for a whopping $13.
On the shelf at the store?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bunches of them.
Nice.
Now, if I had had a pocket full of money, I almost considered buying them all and putting them on eBay, but only marking them up $1 or $2. But, you know, I really don't like messing with stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's work.
It is. But anyway, I thought I'd bring this to the attention that some of those stores are good places to find that very model that you were looking for and just couldn't believe how much they wanted for it on eBay.
It's more surprising that either the company that makes them has made more and that they're being, sold through discount shops, or that a stock of them was discovered somewhere and is now being liquidated through the discount shops. Yeah. At this point in time, it's surprising that any store has it on the shelf, that they haven't all been bought by some eBay seller. Well, nice find. That's awesome. You gonna put it together and everything?
Yeah, I'm debating on whether to turn it into a slot car or just go ahead and build it as the model that it is. But
Doesn't that come as a slot car?
yeah, but this one is they made a snap together one, they made a glued one, which is what this is, and then they made one that came with the parts to make it into a slot car.
Okay, so that's the glue together model version of the one that they also did as a slot car.
Correct.
Okay, still cool. All right, cool stuff. Thanks for sharing, Don. Anything else?
Nope, that's all.
All right, John wants to share his Polar Lights find.
This is
Is that
from
Polar? Okay, not Polar Lights though.
It is Polar Lights.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't see their logo.
Yeah,
Very
top right corner.
Oh, it
And
looks different.
this is
Hmm.
1940. The problem is they're all 125th.
Yeah,
Then
problem for some people.
Not a problem.
Not a problem for other people. Yeah.
And this is the 71 Mustang, not the ones that raced in Trans Am. So you just have to use your imagination a little bit about what kind of slot car you could build from them. That's what I got them for. For
Yeah.
$13, you can't buy a body. So, and you got all the little other doodads you can work with.
Yeah.
In lots of projects. So,
Hmm.
and that's, I mean, those are three of probably close to a dozen various kits that I was able to get from Ollie's.
Cool.
There's something about
Yeah,
being
they
able
had that Mach 5 when the store I looked at too, but I only bought the one.
Yeah, I use that as one of my one of several versions of the app that I made up.
All right, Dennis, what you got?
Oh, I was just going to say I'm working on my entry for the slotted nationals that are coming up first weekend of August at Electric Greens.
Mhm.
This year I'm going to use the new Porsche 962, the one with the short tail. Part of the reason for that is I just want to use something different. The other part of the reason for that is that there's a minimum body weight this year on those cars. So I want to build something that's really right down on the minimum without having to add too much weight. The Nissan that I used last year is underweight, so I would have to add a couple of grams to that in order to use it. And the Toyota, the long tail Toyota 86C that I used the year before that is 2 grams overweight. So I'm hoping I can get this one right onto the 18 gram body weight that is specified. So that's basically what I'm up to. Just started the painting today. I've been doing tires. We have handout tires for that, but they're handing out slotted 1172 G25s, which when you mount them normally are around about 20.5 millimeter diameter. And when you put them in an inline car and you're running with 0.8 millimeter clearance, means you've got to cut those things down to about just over 18 millimeter diameter, and it takes forever to get down there
Yeah.
because of the way that those tires cut. I think I've got about 3 hours into my 2 pairs of tires, and they're at about 18.5 now, maybe 18.3, and I think I'm going to leave them there. But man, it takes forever. I wish the rules were a little different and we could use a 1 millimeter offset pod, which would mean that you could use a 19 millimeter tire and still get the same, similar clearance. But that's
You
not
got
in
a
the rules.
restriction. Have you got a restriction to mandate the 0.5 offset pod there then?
Yes. Well, you can use a 0 or a 0.5, but you can't use the 1 millimeter pod. I haven't worked out why. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to even ask right now.
Have you you say you want to run something different? Do you say expect most of the field to run the Nissan then?
Yes.
Probably that's what they ran
So
last year.
because
And I would think most of the guys will run, a lot of the guys will run Nissans this year. But I think with the fact that there's now a minimum body weight, that's going to open things up a little bit. There's also other rules that will open things up a little, like for instance, the fact that if you run the XJR10 Jaguar, you've got to run with the side skirts on, and anything else, the wheels have got to be underneath the body. So that will eliminate some of the super wide cars that we had the years before.
Have you got a maximum track width as well?
There is a maximum track width, but I need clarity on that because right now the rules say that the maximum track width is 66 millimeters, which
That's a bit wide.
oh yeah, which you can't get with any of those, any of those cars. There's nothing. Even the Jaguar is only 64 millimeters wide. So there's something wrong with that. I think I will query that this week.
Mm.
Is there a caveat in the rules that the tires can't protrude past the edge of the bodywork?
Yeah.
Wheel?
Yeah,
Okay.
the width of the width of the chassis and the width across the wheels is limited by the body. But if you are wider than a certain width on the body, then the tires have got to be at a maximum width. But the problem is that the dimension is incorrect at the moment in the rules as they were published. And I will need to fix that.
We wish you the very best of luck.
Yeah. It'll be fun. I mean, there's 75 entries
already
for that race. And there's a whole bunch of nice little bits and pieces in terms of the way you do your qualifying and who eventually bumps up into the final, into the main event.
Does that change?
Everybody runs a 1 minute qualifier. Then everybody runs 6 by 3 minute heat. So, and then those totals are taken. Then even more than that. Everybody runs a 1 minute qualifier. Then the top 20 run a second 1 minute qualifier. And then from them, the top 6 run a third 1 minute qualifier and for lane choice. And then the heats work out, and then I think there are a couple of guys that would go directly into the final, and then others that run like a consolation heat. So there's all kinds of things like that. It's all in the rules on the website. But yeah, there's quite a bit of that kind of knockout racing, and then we'll get to the main final. So it should be fun. I don't expect to get to the main final, but expect to have some fun anyway.
Sounds a bit weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, not as weird as running one car for 24 hours on one track.
I don't know. I think one's a bit easier to understand.
Yeah, 6 guys running one car for 24 hours. Yeah. It's weird. We're all weird, Wayne.
All weird, yeah.
It's nice to be part of it.
Are you doing the same crown and pinion and stuff as last year, pretty much? Modular.
Well, everybody, there are handout motors, and this year the handout motors have 10-tooth pinions on them rather than the 9s that we used last year. So I think there's still a little bit of experimentation going on as to whether we ran 923 gearing last year, and I think maybe 1023 is going to be a little too long, and you may not get enough brakes or enough punch. So we may be up at 1026 or so by the time we're done. That I don't know yet.
As long as it's a 5.5 pinion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to get the same ratios as last year if you want them.
Yeah, I guess that's probably what we'll do.
Yeah.
Do you know what the consensus of many of the racers are using as far as cars? They're using the 962. I know
I'm using that 962. I would think that a lot of guys will use the Nissans that they used last year. I think some guys will use other things that they like. The Toyota 86C is a nice car to use. Works very well on that track. You could probably get the same width of car in a Jaguar in an XJR10 if you wanted to, or you could run one of the other Jaguars. They all run pretty well there. So there's probably going to be a good mix. I really don't know whether there's going to be one that stands out much as there have been in the past.
Oh, they will.
I saw the
after the race is over, you'll find out what the difference.
Well, I mean, you got to go see what Todd Ullery, Ian Douglas, Herman James, Jim Rose, what those guys are, maybe Walter Baines, what those guys are going to use, because they will have tested everything by now, I'm sure. Jim's not on the call today, so I don't quite know what's going on.
Comment.
But
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm quite sanguine about my chances at winning anything in these heats, in these races these days. So it doesn't really worry me, and I like to have a different car every year, or a new car every year anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll do.
Well, I for one would like to have been there.
I was looking at the roster, and I was really surprised. My name is actually on there. But, and,
You don't remember registering?
I'm still surprised. It's quite a few people coming from the world. You know, got Italy and
Yeah, Andrea, Maurizio Ferrari will be there from Slotted.
Sure.
Michael Niemes from Germany, he'll be there. There's a couple of guys coming from Australia, I seem to remember.
Dewan, you'll be more surprised when you get the invoice.
Yeah. He did, Marco did send out a list the other day about it. Nationals are sold out.
Yep. All righty, looking forward to more on that. Anybody else got anything they want to share, talk about? Go ahead, Mike.
I succumbed.
Later, John. Been working on that one?
Yeah, I got it Monday and spent about 2.5 hours. I was going to make a video on what I was doing, but it was too much work to do, go through all this stuff. But I started measuring the downforce on the motors now with the setup, so that I have an idea what's going on, and that's the 13 grams of downforce on there. And I did all the usual things that I do with the car, and ended up with a car that was slightly faster than the yellow one, although I didn't beat him in the race, but because I generally race my new cars after I get them and set them up and see what happens. But that was down to me, not down to the car, because I clearly had the fastest car. So it wasn't by much. It was in the race. It was exactly 0.02 of a second faster as far as the fastest time during the race. So not much, but it's a good car. And of course, it's a unread Ferrari, which is my métier. So that's all. I'll save the rest for later.
Okay. I mean, we're free form, you know, whatever you want to talk about. Anybody else got any show and tell? All right, Club Corner, you know, whatever. Okay.
I'm just looking at the list that was sent out of all the entries. One guy coming from the UK, a fellow by the name of Doug Edwards. 2 or 3 guys coming from Mexico. A guy by the name of Ian Rice coming from Australia. Guy coming from Brazil. Guy coming from Canada. Maurizio from Italy. Michael Niemes from Germany. 2 from England. There's another one, Pete Brown, his name is.
Pete Brown coming. You know
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Oh, you know that guy? Okay.
Yeah, it's Track Fans TV.
Track Fans TV.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh my word. Get ready.
Okay.
He's a character.
All right.
Oh,
Couple
yeah.
of guys. And then, you know, from around the country, there's guys from Texas, from Florida, from Arkansas, from Northern California, from Utah, Michigan. So, yeah. There should be
All you
pretty
have to do with
Nevada.
all you have to do with track fans is give him some orange juice with a lewd in it. He'll be fine.
Okay. I obviously have not been checking on the right parts of YouTube and other places that I don't know these guys know.
I think that's from like the 60s or something, isn't that? You're talking about Quaaludes, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street Quaaludes, man.
Dude, it's the 2020s.
Hey, vintage stuff.
Anywho,
You know, Johnny's stuck in the past.
He is, yeah.
Oh,
But
anyone else here? Yeah, sure. Like what
oh
we're
no,
I
doing.
wasn't
60
pointing
years
fingers.
old.
I'm slapping. I'm hitting with the Riz. Yo.
Riz. Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Risotto. I'll have some.
Nice. Well, you got your hand up, John. What else do you want to talk about?
Okay, so we just got back online. That's why I was a little late. We had a massive storm go through this area of Canada, believe it or not. Our street was literally a river. It was amazing. But the bad news is it knocked out our electricity for about 24 hours. So I had a lot of time to go through all the stuff that I was supposed to go through, that my wife basically said, go through this stuff. Yeah, anybody, that ever happened to anybody? Okay, just me.
Nah.
So one of the things I was going through were my stash of motorsport magazines. Anybody read these things? Other than me?
Yeah.
Used to, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're
I can get-
it's a wonderful collection of advertising interspersed with articles. That's what British publishing really is, in my opinion. But I found something that I thought you guys would maybe be interested in. I didn't realize this, but they had a promotion, believe it or not, with a subscription. They were giving away Scalextric cars.
Wow.
Mhm.
Why?
They've done that twice.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Both of the times they used the same Scalextric car, if I remember correctly.
But here's what's interesting. They did a BTCC. I guess that, they thought that rather than a Formula One car or anything else, they did British touring cars. And I probably, because I was looking at an article rather than the advertisements when I first read the magazine, sort of skipped through this, but I didn't realize that. Like, isn't that cool?
And I don't think you can get them from the US. They won't ship
No. No, and it said that this particular Sierra RS 500 was worth 40 pounds 99, I guess, pence. Isn't that neat? But the interesting thing that I thought was about this, as just from a marketing perspective, is that they really did their best to show it not as a slot car. Like, if you were not a slot car person, you wouldn't notice that it's actually got a guide flag and it's on this like really weird table.
I got one.
You got one of
Well,
those
we all do.
How do you like that one?
Wayne, you got that car?
Did you get that car? Yeah. Now,
No.
did you actually sort of respond to this or?
No, this is a, oh man, it's race engine technology, really.
Well, talk about a niche magazine.
Yeah. I've got a whole load of them. But every now and again they do something specific, and if you look how much dust there is on it, well, you can tell how much dust there is on this one. Rally race technology. These are not cheap magazines.
No.
That's because you're paying for all the advertising. That's one of the reasons I kind of stopped getting motorsport.
Yeah, there's a cover price on this down here of £20, and I haven't got a clue why anyone would pay that.
Well, same reason rock stars marry supermodels, because they can.
Because they can.
Yeah.
There's some very interesting stuff about the development of F1 engines over the years, because these magazines I've got here, this particular one, just for a sample, is June, July 2015. It's nearly 10 years old. And I acquired these when I bought my last car.
What were they stuck in the trunk or something, or were they actually covering up the rusted out floorboards?
No, they were in a bag in the back.
You should not use derogatory terms like that.
So these are UK £12.50 each one. US $25. That was then.
So you didn't buy any of these?
No, they were all in my car when I bought it.
So you have to buy a car to buy magazines. Wow, that's interesting.
It's probably cheaper that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I consider them the discount. It was like finding small change in the glove compartment, but with a bit of a bonus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, what I was going to say earlier is that I went to the beach and didn't bring any reading material. So he stopped at a Barnes and Noble on the way. And I bought, I think, 5 of those magazines. It was $90. It was nuts.
So I guess I'm the only schmuck who actually buys these things. Huh? Okay, that's good.
No, I buy them, but thank God there's no Barnes and Noble in my town.
Look at this one. The cover says, "The future has arrived. Electric and hybrid racing is a reality."
What month and year is that?
What month that would be? Doesn't say. I think these are annual. I think because this is a part of a part of Race Engine, but this would have been a one-off, like the ones.
But hold on, are they offering any slot cars in the?
Oh, you know what? I've read a few.
Well, that's why I'm talking about it. I mean, if they're not offering slot cars, who cares?
Yeah, well, no, hang on. I've read a few of them. I'm looking for the ones with the spines that have any damage because they're the ones that you've read. Well, okay, so I've read them in a way that doesn't damage the spines. So they're as new condition. I'm offering them inexpensively if anyone would like them.
Oh, great. Welcome to the Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
Shill in your magazines.
Oh, man. That's
all right. You want some overpriced magazines from Wayne? Go ahead and pester
go
him.
ahead. Well, I just want to make it. I just want to make a proper note to whoever's taking minutes that my magazines at least were slot car related.
Slot car related. No. This is unlike
the guy trying to have a boot sale virtually here.
But you're right. I mean, these are similar insofar as every time I flick, every time I let one more page drop onto the right side, there's an advertisement or two on the right side on the facing page.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy British magazines anymore. They're not really magazines. They're just advertising.
All magazines are like that.
Well, some weren't too bad. Road and Track wasn't that bad until its demise. Car and Driver wasn't as bad until it's, now I don't even think if they're publishing.
I'm not huge into magazines in general, but of all the magazines I've ever looked at in my life, you're hunting through ads to find the chunk of the article that you need to read next, right?
Exactly.
Continue on page 54. Oh, geez, 50 pages of ads. Oh, there's this little teeny square of article there, and then continue on page 103.
But I challenge you, Greg, to look at a domestic magazine versus a UK magazine, and the ratio of article to advert is so high with a UK magazine. It's quite astonishing. Now, that being said,
article to advert ratio is good.
Yeah, well, the ad ratio is really high. That being said, if you look at the old car model magazines, like with slot cars and stuff, there are tons of adverts, but the adverts are relevant to us because I love looking at the advertisements from Monogram, Revell, K&B. So they're interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the old British model car magazine back in the 60s and early 70s was just the same. It had lots of adverts in it, but like you say, they were interesting to look at for a lot of time.
Yeah, well, back in the day, they were your price lists, weren't they? Because they were retailers advertising things, and they got item price, and you could literally open a magazine and do your shopping. Far easier.
Yeah. And then, of course, they had at the back in the magazine, there were pages and pages of lists of hobby stores and slot car raceways and so on, all arranged by county, as I seem to remember, or alphabetically, one of the two. I was digging through some of those the other day, looking for something.
Actually, far easier to reference than any internet would ever be.
Yeah, that was.
I wouldn't be surprised if, print media is dead. I wouldn't be surprised if these don't exist anymore, unless they're an industry thing.
Well, when was the last time you bought a car?
Oh, I've kept mine alive for a while, so yeah, not for a while. I think it speaks to the
magazines, Wayne. Go buy another car.
Yeah, that's right. If I run out of reading matter, I think it speaks to the nature of the owner of the previous owner of the car, and that's.
I don't know. I think it talks more to the purchaser. Like you have to buy a car to spend money on magazines.
Yeah, and then not read them for 10 years.
Right. Well, not only that,
Watch it.
I,
Used
I,
car with boot full of magazines.
yeah, well, that's a good
Yeah.
question, Jim. Actually, yes. How long did it take for you to discover that there was ballast in the back of your car?
Well, let's put it this way: they were discovered whilst I was going through the purchase process, and the guy said, "I'll leave those in."
Ah.
Took one look at them. And went,
Wow. I'm sure it didn't
Oh.
burn oil or have squeaky brakes or anything. I'm sure it was just an excellent purchase.
What was
What
under
car
it?
was it anyway?
Hmm?
What model car was it?
I've got an Alfa Romeo 147.
Oh boy. So this guy had rallying magazines in the back of it. Oh, I'm sure he didn't race it or anything.
Yeah, the little old lady who used it to go to church and back every week. Yeah.
Yeah, only the church was through woods, a gravel road, and an iceberg.
Of course, with magazines in the back, those magazines in the back, it thoroughly verified the fact that it was indeed his wife's car.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure. And I've got some great land in Florida to sell you, son.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you mean there was no slot car in the trunk? There was no controller, no even like wintergreen?
Sounds like the car you might buy from me, not the car I bought.
Yeah, there'll be a whole bunch of used tires in the back, and they'll only be this big.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, enough about the magazines. What you got, DeJuan?
Okay, follow up from last week. This is what I just did this a few seconds ago.
This is the go-karts. I'm looking forward to this. Yes.
After being in the swimming pool.
Oh yeah.
96.011.
Oh, a fast lap as well.
Still runs.
That's the first test. Now, this is that's the survivor swimming pool. Now we're gonna go for the survivor of the hot tub.
You know what? This was so good. I actually entertained the missus by telling her about this story.
And it's moving. It's moving. I just put that on the track.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, DeJuan, you should actually get in touch with Carrera and show them how robust those products are. And no word of a lie. That's amazing.
That was live testing.
Yeah. Wow.
He didn't do anything.
Holy cow. Seriously,
on the track, or
that is amazing.
you didn't have to do anything. You just let them dry out and put them on the track.
I put them on the track. I fixed the brakes and put it on the track and showed you guys.
It's what I expected, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are those digital, Dwayne? Go on.
I'm sorry. Was that?
Are they digital?
No.
They're digital, but I have them switched to the
Analog.
They do have the chip. We had the chip in. I didn't buy.
Awesome.
So,
Cool.
swimming pool and hot tub tested.
Good.
Do you have any pictures of the trashed room though? Because you were telling us that
the trash room. That's why it took me so long to get I couldn't even find my video camera. It took me 5 minutes into the chat to get my video camera. But yeah,
I want to check the back of the toilet for the video camera.
That's all.
Oh, jeez.
In the cistern, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to hear that those cars are working.
Can I share something?
Sure.
Oh shit! Let me hang it. That didn't work. I need to find it first. Talking about old magazines reminded me of this that happened yesterday. My friend Victor Ferguson, who owns the company called TrueScale Products, sent me a photograph, this one, and said, "Who do you think made this mold? I found this mold in amongst all my old molds, and I'm not sure whose mold it was." So I looked at it and said, "Oh, I think I know where that came from." And then he went to, then he showed me a couple of others, right? Is it still showing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He showed me a couple of others. This is the one on the right, the Lola T160, and then there's a Porsche 908 2 and the Autocoast TI-22, the second version. And then, so I went back and I found this, talking about those magazines. And there's that Lola body, T162. And on the page
In Tottenham,
inside,
London of all places.
yep, and on the page inside, there was this little thing here that said this highly patriotic 124 scale Lola 162 was produced by John Veazey for a recent Tottenham Open meeting. Took him a whole day to paint the body. And shell is by GT Models. And that was my original guess. And so this was just confirmation of that. That we found this, Victor found this mold, which may well be a copy of the original mold. I doubt that it's the original mold. But there was a lot of back boring going on in those days. So. But it's just interesting that we could find something that was on one of those early magazines. I think that magazine was from, let me think, where was it? 1970, August 1969.
And is the nose that far from the front wheels, or has that been slottified?
It's been slottified.
Mm.
None of the full size cars were ever that bad, but yeah, they've all been slottified a little bit. They extend the nose just to cover the guide.
What material was that mold?
The mold itself is probably some kind of metal filled epoxy. I know that Victor does that. He uses some specific strong epoxies with aluminum, like aluminum dust or aluminum filings mixed into it. When you start vacuum forming Lexan particularly, the molds have to be very, very strong because it's a very tough plastic, and once you sucked it around the mold, when you pull it off, if the mold isn't strong, the mold wears very quickly. That particular one may well be just a mold made out of Bondo or something like that, but I think it looks like an aluminized epoxy mold. I mean, sometimes, if you really could do it, you could use a fully machined aluminum mold, but that would be an expensive process. Not something you could do in your garage. Which most of the guys.
Sorry, I would imagine that needs to cool quite quickly after being pulled, because the heat imparted to it would have been quite high with the Lexan melt temperature. I don't know what that is. But then to be able to use it soon again afterward, it would need to cool quickly, and aluminium would do that.
Yeah, but there's actually a point at which the mold temperature affects how easily it comes off the mold. And so your best and most consistent quality of vacuum formings off a mold come when the mold is at an elevated temperature.
Okay.
It's not room temperature. It's not the heat of the plastic, but it's warm.
Yeah.
And if you get into a particular rhythm, and you get it correct, then the mold stays at one particular temperature most of the time, or it varies a little bit, but it's tend to be relatively constant, and therefore the bodies that come off the mold are all the same every time.
Yeah, and Lexan, it doesn't take a lot of heat to melt Lexan. It's not like, in fact, I would venture that a resin mold probably takes more heat damage than a vacuum mold for sure.
Yeah, the problem with Lexan is not the heat so much. It's the strength of the material and the surface friction between the material and the mold.
Right, and that's why you have to have if you don't have the right thickness or thinness of Lexan, it won't undercut properly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that mold had no real
Okay, so I just Googled that, and it says about 250 degrees.
Fahrenheit.
I presume so.
Yeah. It's not that hot. It's just the other side of melting point or boiling point of water.
It says 150 to 250 C, depending on the plastic.
Oh, see.
I'm just going through Google search results and looking at the first words of a few articles. So yeah, there's a range of temperatures for Lexan, but depending on.
Okay.
Yona might know off the top of his head actually the correct temperature for vac forming. It's going to depend on the material, is it, Yona?
I have no idea.
Okay. I thought you would know, being a man that does it.
Oh, yeah.
But
probably.
I'd assume someone who's. I'm not good at it. I mean, 80% of the attempts I make fail.
I've actually, when I first started making the monogram Formula One bodies, I actually made a mold and vacuum formed the windscreens using silicone. And what I used as, I guess, Lexan, for lack of a better description, was just ordinary packaging plastic we even stuff in the grocery store. And I used a heat gun, and you don't actually need to suck it down. It'll actually just form right around it.
Yeah.
What they used to call plunge forming, you can do that as well. But if it's just that kind of packaging, then it's probably PETG that they're using, or one of those PET plastics, and those are a lot easier.
They're looking. You're right. They're looking for something to shrink around. Yeah. It's almost like a big shrink wrap. Yeah.
And the PET, to make slot car bodies out of PETG is a lot easier, and you get much better detail than you do with Lexan.
Right back.
Yeah, it does say here polycarbonate maintains its properties, and it's at a wide range of temperatures up to 140 C. But its glass transition is just over 150, and that's polycarbonate, not Lexan. But the next line I'm seeing on a different article says, however, since Lexan sheet materials have a relatively high heat distortion temperature, so it's relatively high for Lexan, then certainly hurt you if you touch it.
Yeah. I mean, my buddy Victor will tell you that it's a difficult job to do it, and he makes certainly some of the best clear vacuum form bodies you've ever seen in your life.
It also says it should be dried, preheated / dried at about 150. I presume that's F, for an hour or two, and then heated up to, and the rest isn't there.
Yeah, that's to get rid of any humidity. The vacuum form, the Lexan gets cloudy if you heat it too quickly when it's not dehumidified. It gets cloudy and you get bubbles and you get all kinds of weird things happen to it.
Yeah.
Anyway. I was more interested in the fact that I found a photograph on the front of a magazine for the mold that he had found.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was more fun. There were some nice photographs on the front of that magazine over the years, with some strange artwork every now and then too, that looked really kind of amateurish. And if you go back to some of the magazines from the early to mid 1960s, where they had these these little sketches or illustrations on the front cover, they're really quite interesting to look at.
So if we're scratching for a topic, I've got a question for Mike. I noticed Mike's been on the forum in recent times discussing his difficulties with runaway cars based on his 7042 power base and his race management program. I think you've been involved in that conversation too, Greg. You made some progress by changing a cable out. Has that solved the problem permanently now?
Nope.
Not Mike.
Nope. It came back with a vengeance last week, and it was still prevalent this week. We tried. I downloaded The drivers, as one guy in the forum suggested.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had to do anything else to it other than download them and execute the file, but it didn't make any difference. So I'm at the point right now where I think I need to do a dedicated computer with Windows 10 on it, maybe, and see what happens with that. Because I'm almost positive it's in the computer now. I've people have suggested that I do a test with the LCD screen and see if it does it then. But that would be a power base issue then. And I've changed power bases, and since it transfers from power base to power base, that eliminates that as a possibility in my mind, at least.
I thought you changed the computer too.
Pardon me?
I thought you had changed the computer too.
Yes, 2 computers.
And are both of the computers, since you just said you want a dedicated computer, that means that the computers you've been using are used for other purposes.
Well, okay. I had a 17-inch PC that I had used for years, and it stopped using the video feed. Stopped working, and nothing I could do could change that. So I bought a new computer, but I think what I need to do is I need to just put the race management system on the computer and nothing else. So there's no Wi-Fi, no nothing. I shut the Wi-Fi off and I turn everything off. And he suggested turning off the antivirus stuff. I don't think I have antivirus on, but I've got to check on that and see.
Especially if you have McAfee or Norton or any of those big name antiviruses, they just.
No, I don't have those. I know for sure.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, I don't think Wi-Fi or Bluetooth has anything to do with it. It's
right.
Those things being present and enabled aren't gonna do it unless there are programs that are running in the background trying to use those connections to the internet. So it's not the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I mean, I guess if you have programs trying to use them and you turn them off, then those programs won't be able to use them, but that won't stop the programs from trying to use them. So they're still using computer power. They're using storage. They're using memory. They're using CPU. Yeah. So I would, first of all, let me get this one out of the way. Did you ever get the clip-on ferrite beads to try that on the cables?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, so there's still that.
I haven't tried that.
But assuming, since you can do the computer thing without having to put money down, do what they suggest. Get the clean sweeper or whatever, the program
CC
was.
cleaner.
CC cleaner. Use that to get rid of all the faff. Run through the program files manually to look at anything that's been installed over the years that is never going to be used on that computer again, and uninstall them, because the junk cleaners are only going to find junk. They're not going to clean out.
They're not going to clean out programs.
Yeah. And then make sure any firewall / virus protection / whatever is disabled and uninstalled, because if you're not going to use that computer on the internet, there's literally no reason to have those on that computer. And get it as clean and lean as possible. And
Wouldn't that be a reinstall of a fresh reinstall of Windows? Wouldn't that be?
No. I mean, you could do that, but Windows comes with a lot of crap that needs to be cleaned out. And one of the things that the cleaners do is clean out crap that comes with Windows.
Right.
But yeah, that'd be a good way to start. But then he's having to do the drivers and everything, and the RCS64 and all that stuff. I would do this first, and if that still doesn't work, I don't think RCS64 shows it. SSDC shows a CPU usage in the bottom corner of the screen while it's running. But you can just fire up the Windows, task manager thing to look at what is using up CPU. And sometimes it's something as silly as the recycle bin is chock full of stuff you've deleted but never emptied the recycle bin. So the the hard drive is full, but it's not full because you've recycled stuff that haven't been deleted. But it uses the hard drive for temporary memory, so it's got things running in the background that are taking up RAM. So it uses the hard drive, so it's switching back between RAM and hard drive back and forth. That takes up massive CPU usage while it's reading and writing from the hard drive constantly as virtual memory. So basically doing all those things will help hopefully reduce the CPU load from virtual memory and background applications and virus detectors and stuff like that, so that the race manager is not competing for that CPU stuff. I mean, one of the nerdy things that I've learned over the years is if you run the task manager and look at the list of processes, you can assign a higher priority to the race manager process, so that it has priority for CPU over everything else.
Okay. Yeah, well,
Good luck.
yeah, it's a process of elimination, and the bad thing is that it requires at least 3 people driving. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen all that frequently with 2 people driving. Even if you use ghost cars, it doesn't necessarily happen if I use just me driving and 6 ghost cars. So it's nearly impossible to test unless we're racing.
Yeah, and that points to the CPU thing as well, because ghost cars is output. One guy is input output, but two guys is 2 input outputs, and basically every active driver is adding more CPU load, because every control goes into the computer, is processed for any changes that need to be made, and then sent back out of the computer to the APB. So every driver is going to make that worse and worse, as far as how much CPU is required to do all that.
Okay.
And if the computer is able to run Windows 10, what's it running now?
Windows 11.
Oh shit! Yeah, if you can downgrade, that would probably be better, because every Windows is just going to take more and more CPU and memory.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think even his older computer would have so little of that it would be in danger of being filled and used or utilized. I don't know. If it's got 2 machines with 11 on, then they're all going to be modern machines, aren't they?
If they came with Windows 11, that's what I was about to ask, is when those computers were purchased, what was on them?
The latest one that I'm using now had Windows 11 on it when I got it.
Okay, yeah, then it should not be having CPU issues. It should be more.
I'm still using for my racing. I'm still using basically Windows XP.
Yeah.
My computer's hella old, but it's lean and clean. It's not running anything other than Windows.
Well, that was my point, that I could do that. Get a used one that has a reasonable amount of processing power to it, and just dedicate that one only with that program on it, nothing else. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
So
it definitely sounds like a CPU thing. So it's definitely worth doing anything you can to see what the load is, so you can confirm that in fact it's being overloaded, and then do what you can to reduce the load.
Okay.
Good luck.
Maybe we can do a tutorial, since I'm an idiot with computers.
I mean, run the app that they linked first. Do the app. Make sure there's nothing that managed to get on there.
Yeah, I'll do the CC cleaner and that stuff first, and it's see what I can do, and try and eliminate as much stuff as possible. And I don't use that much, but this particular machine is used for my taxes and other things along with it. So I want to. That's why I think if I go with a separate machine, I'd be better off starting from scratch, and eliminating everything else.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
We shall see. All right, John, did you have your hand up still, or you got something else, or am I okay? Go ahead. No, you're done.
No, I just wanted to circle back, because we were talking about vacuum forming, and I just wanted to show this is the Lotus 33 windscreen as it comes out of the, my ersatz vacuum mold, and then trimmed up, you have a perfect, hopefully you can see that, Lotus 33 windscreen.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I make two. I make one from the monogram part itself, and then this for, you crazy speed crazy morons. So there you go.
So John, here's my box of donor plastic for doing that when I get around to it.
You know what? You're gonna laugh. You know what this is from? It's actually so I make this salmon dish with lemon balm. Long story short, this is from the container that holds the lemon balm. It's just like cheap plastic that they use for putting stuff in grocery stores.
Yeah.
And it works a treat. So the good news is my wife's happy because I'm cooking, and I'm happy because I can make these little things. It's all good.
Gio uses plastic disposable plates, right, Gio?
Oh yeah, that's what Gio uses. That's right. Oh my gosh. But do
Yeah,
you at
I
least
mean,
put a little
that
pasta
one-
on them first?
Hey,
At first, do you still have a little pasta on them first before you use them, or no?
I don't need
Pasta
pasta.
vazoo.
Only in the
It's so
Italian
rustic.
cars.
Anyway, so now I'm using for the Lexan, I use those plates, but if I have to do like windows, I have basically those kind of transparent sheets that you would use for covers for documents. For
Oh yeah, acetate.
yeah, and although it does not melt as nicely as the plastic is for those dishes, I mean, it's still doable. The main problem now is getting difficult to find those bloody dishes because everybody is going here, at least in New Zealand, green, so they're making all paper-based stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, that's why I still cast. I mean, for example, you could do this. Remember, the monogram gearbox in the back for the Lotus and or the Ferrari 158. I mean,
Not and or. They're
yeah.
different.
They are different, yeah. But I'm just because but you can do different things with them. You can also just take parts of them, and then you've just got like the tail end for another use of some sort, like a BRM or something. It's tons of fun. But you can also vac form those as well.
Gio, did you have something else, or you just wanted to talk about the vac forming?
no, I kind of want to show the pictures of the Mustang, so I do anyway now. I mean, I think some of you already saw it, but I only saw them.
Yeah.
So okay, I took basically four of the. I have four of the the stock ones with the four basic colors. So the green, the gray, blue, and white. So, and then I also bought two white kit, and I try to kind of paint them. I'm not trying to replicate specific cars because they're in the race, but something that looks like semi-modern kind of racing these days, like could put or whatever of a classic car. I mean, I had a bit of fun. The rear ones is kind of okay if you manage to kind of make the lights shine through those glasses, because it seems that the stock ones come with the solid red color. But I had a bit of fun with the customizing the front of the cars with a different kind of light setup. Not all of them are basically same lights or same colors. So this one is I'm using some kind of a candy red, but it's darker than normal red over SMS chrome. I mean, it's not that candy as I would have liked, so it's a pretty dark color, but still I think looks okay. So this is the green one. Well, I think was one of the first that I got or released. So this is a candy gold. So again, over a chrome, and then I think I mixed like clear yellow with clear brown to do the cold. I also kind of customize a bit the amount of goldenness of the final color. Play around a bit with the strips. So these are it's the white one. So in this one, for instance, I moved the fog lights instead of being in this in board. I put them on the outside the holes, let's say. And I think it's the original cars were like that, but I'm not 100% sure. And then this one is the gray. I have a blue one as well, but Jan got the blue and he was building his own thing. So I have to see what I have to do with that blue one. Maybe putting some kind of yellow stripes on top or something else to make it different than Jan's car. Yeah, and this bus how they kind of look like, and
Cool.
yeah, I mean, also like I have to say, yeah, I know that for you guys in the States, maybe these looks awful, but actually they go pretty well. I mean, for what they are, no, for what they are. I mean, they're freaking thunders, so they cost quite a lot of money. But out of the box, I just put so these have not been, not tire throwing anything, just to put them on the truck and they go pretty well. I'm not even oiling the rear tires, nothing, no throwing, nothing. And of course, putting the chip or not, and on plastic, they go pretty well. I'm not running them at 12 volts because I think they would become really stupid on my small truck. I think we're doing 9.5 volts, and the motor is 21, I think RPM, 21,000 RPM, so doesn't need much. But yeah, I kind of if you want to kind of set up a class without spending a huge amount of time, I'm not saying money is quite a lot, but if you don't want to spend a huge amount of time to set them up, these are quite nice, and they are very close to each other in terms of performance. I mean, we raced them last night, and I can show you some picture later on. And actually, one other thing, again, these are more like the expert here, but the white kit, they come with the two different lenses for the fog lights. They come with the round ones, and unfortunately cannot see, but they also come with the square ones that I saw also they were using them. And I think that the square ones go to the inner part of the grill, and the round ones go on the outside. But again, I might be wrong, so maybe someone can shed a bit of light on that. Sorry for the pun. Yeah. So
yeah, Thunderslot. Yeah. Those models are not for rivet counters anyway. Those Mustangs are not for rivet counters anyway. But yours are really good. Those look good.
Good enough for me to say, "Hey, Gio, want to make me a Mustang?" So we're working on that.
But actually, I think what kind of brought them alive it's the lights. I mean,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I also like adding those decals, right? I mean, they make a bit more, kind of a bit more realistic, let's say, or prototypical. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a bit more race car than road car, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
Big question for you, Gio. What is the temperature out there? You look like you're
freaking cold, man. Freaking cold. And they also build the house like the shit over here. So it's better you go outside than inside.
It's cooled down to 110 out here. That's why I'm looking at you because you got me cringing. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, it's winter down there, so lucky him.
Yeah, and he's at the bottom of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Do you know what? He said that. He said, let's have a Zoom meeting before I go back to the bottom of the world. Although I think he used the phrase asshole, but there you go.
There's a big
It
difference,
is.
you know.
It is.
Bottom of the world is geographic.
Yeah.
The other one is anyway. Whatever.
It's also geographic. It's a location, right?
Yeah. So I went through a whole bunch of my old model cars magazines. Found a couple that have some really nice old drawings. I don't know if anybody wants to see them.
Floor is open.
All right, let me just change my video camera over. There we go. So this is from August of 1967. They had a fellow by the name of Laurie Bagley, who was an artist who used to work for, where used to do a lot of artwork for Model Cars magazine. And so there's a whole series of these. It's an old Chevron V6. And the month before that had been this old Maserati, like parked outside the casino in Monte Carlo kind of thing. And then there was this one, which is really nice. I think he did a great job of this. The Chaparral Phil Hills 2C or 2E coming through the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. And this is some old Delage, apparently. Yeah, so all these old magazines are nice. They're nice T70. Brands Hatch by the looks of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know that Bruce McLaren would ever have driven a car in that particular color of purple, but that was the color for the month by the looks of it. So they printed it with that weird color on it. And then this is an old, I don't know what that is.
Towboat.
It will tell us inside. It's a Healy Silverstone.
Oh, I should have known.
Healy Silverstone. Should have known. Yeah. And that one I like. This is really nice. 66 Ferrari.
Big John.
Yeah, it looks just like Big John, doesn't it? Yeah, so there was a whole bunch of them. There's a whole lot more. I mean, I have every copy from issue number 1 all the way through to the very last issue, all but 5, which Paul Longhurst has found for me now, and so I'm just waiting for those. But
Didn't that magazine become Model Cars Monthly and switch over to Radio Control?
If you look at the later ones, it was still called Model Cars. It was Model Cars and Miniature Auto together, and they did in fact switch over. Hang on a moment, just let me grab some. They're back here in a pile because I was looking at one of them just a couple of minutes back, and where is it now? There we go. This one.
Oh, I know Ted Longshaw.
Yeah, and the guy next to him,
Longshaw.
Ted Longshaw is the guy without the shirt.
That's right.
And the guy next to him is a fellow by the name of Gordon Tapsell. And Gordon Tapsell is the guy who made that body, that Lola T160, that C162 that we were looking at earlier.
So is that could that possibly be from 73? Oh, I was close.
Yeah.
So on YouTube this week, I watched a video, probably from, certainly not that race, but certainly that era, and it was either the Euros or Worlds, and the kinds of cars they were running were exactly like that.
Yeah, it would have been Euros because there was no Worlds at that point yet.
Probably so.
The first Worlds was 1975. Anyway.
The thing is that he's dressed exactly the same way in the video I watched, but looking at the circuit in the picture, it's certainly not the circuit that he was at.
Yeah. This looks like a parking lot somewhere. Doesn't say where they were. Oh, at Warwick, it says. Memories of summer and fabulous warm weekends. And they were at Warwick.
Warwick in the UK?
Warwick in the UK. There's a whole bunch of those kind of things. All of those old magazines had, by that time, they were all starting to go to a lot of radio control car stuff. They had a lot of magazines with photos of full size stuff as well.
So
But a lot of
all
them
the way
were.
through into the 90s then?
This magazine ended at the end of 1972. It was
Oh, did it?
printed by MAP, by the Model Auto Press or whatever they were called, and so I have all the copies right up till the last one.
I used to have all, I mean, I didn't ever start acquiring those until the late 80s, but they were called Model Cars Monthly and the font was the same. Doubtless it was not MAP, which was your publisher there. But I threw away a whole pile of those and I kind of regret it because I used to
I had all of them
in them.
Yeah, I had
But
all
Wayne,
of them
how much did you get for the car, Wayne? How much did you get for the car?
They weren't in the car, I'm afraid. It was a function of moving around the country and things like that. Just had to get rid of some things.
I had the complete collection when I was a teenager, and then I gave them away to someone. And then when I came back into slot car racing about 10 years back, I started recollecting them, and I've managed to get pretty much every single edition again. Like I said, I'm still waiting for, I think, 5 that Paul has found for me in the UK. I need to remind him that he needs to get them in the mail for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I've got another topic that we might discuss. Has anyone else noticed, or is anyone excited about the possibility that you can now invest in SRC?
They went public?
Didn't know that.
No, but interesting news.
Yeah.
Are you a day trader? You're gonna be.
No, I'm not going to be in there.
They're offering
making tens of dollars off of SRC stock.
Yeah,
because you're not losing enough on slot cars. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody who's got a big fortune and wants to make a small fortune. We know.
I assume they're a penny stock.
Apparently, you can buy in, and then you will get, depending on how long you keep your holding, I think you will get access to a unique car and then a discount on all products as time passes.
That's
like a club subscription.
Yeah, that's more like
do the math. It's cheaper just to buy the car.
No, it's probably so. But no, it's genuine. I think if you go and have a look, it's out there. You can now invest in a slot race company, a slot car manufacturer, without going. Yeah.
That's not the return most investors want.
No, and I realize that, but there are additional benefits, let's say, and that's the only ones I can see at the moment, unless there's a change in the market for them.
You'll only lose 1/32 the amount that you lost on Enron. It'll be perfect.
Just ask Shapeways.
Yeah.
Yeah, going public is going to be the death knell of pretty much any company, as far as ethics and business and.
Well, you've got investors you've got dividends to find from then on.
Exactly. You don't care about products or customers anymore. You only care about dividends. Anywho, that's very political, so we're going to move along to another topic. What you got, Mike?
An opinion, evidently.
I got some. I was going to talk about the races on Monday.
Sure.
We had 2. I did a Ford versus Ferrari kind of. So we had 3 slotteds with the new Piper Ferrari 330, and then the yellow 330 that I have. So I was once again no red Ferraris in this house. Not entirely true, but at any rate. And we had the latest Ford GT, the Ken Miles one from Slotted. And I had quite a battle with Shiggy that I lost, but I did finish second in that one. It was okay. We had a good time anyway. We didn't have we only had 2 faults, I think, in the 125 laps, which wasn't bad. And then we raced sort of an oddball collection because we had a slotted Ferrari F40 and then a MR slot car F1, McLaren F1, and what was the other one? God, I can't remember. At any rate, the two MR slot cars got beat by the slotted F40, which was a big surprise to me. Both Shiggy and I had some good laps, but I played with the balance of power. Oh, I know. It was a Ferrari 333 SP, the green, white, and red 333 that Miss MR slot car has. And it was at least 0.3 of a second faster than any of the other two. So he got a big load of fuel, balance of performance, but it was a little bit too much. And so he was out of the picture. And I unfortunately had given a balance of performance to Ratby. And that proved to be undoing. I spent the entire race chasing him down and filling up with fuel. And I lost it by 1/2 lap at the end because I had it off and I would run out of damage points. So it was like 2 or 3 laps from the end, and it was just barely missed it. So, but it was a really close race, and we had good fun. Both races were relatively close, so that's always great. But yeah, I didn't have the best day. I had too many offs. So, but it was good fun regardless.
I did watch part of the live stream until I was ignored.
John, I keep telling you, I can't see the comments. It's on a stupid iPad.
It was
I need
ignored.
another computer near me.
It was ignored by his cat, Mike, not yourself.
Oh, I see. Got it.
He walked straight over his lap and just, don't want to be there.
Yeah. So the visuals is if your cat is bored, you leave.
You'd have thought the cat would have been watching closely.
Well, yeah, you know what? We watched the streaming of the IMSA race from Mosport together.
Did you?
Yeah, it was actually a really good race.
Was it?
Yeah, and then the MX5 Cup after that, which is it's like water beetles going at each other. It's pack racing. That's really, really fun.
That's like a stream of cars just in one end. I mean, there must be no more than an inch between those cars all the time.
No, and what happens is that if someone just makes a wee bit of a mistake, the whole thing just goes to it's great fun to watch, especially at Mosport, because a lot of those folks coming from the US, they're a little leery of turn 2. So it's fun to watch.
I've just found a product on Facebook. It's called a motor holder. How about that for a running device? Can you see that? It's basically blocks of wood with some sheet foam material. Oh, I can now see better. It's even got countersink self-tappers in the top. Oh, you can even see it clearer now. My phone's going to sleep. Well, there's a motor being held in there, and obviously that's intended to either quieten it or stop it from shaking the table away.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you 3D printing guys out there, there's your next.
There you go.
No, I saw that too, and I was like, could that be 3D printed? I'm like, yeah, you could replace the wood, but you're not going to get the same.
No, you're not going to get the same soft.
Yeah, I've had something similar
The
to that
damping.
for years and
You
years
basically
and
have
years.
to build the same thing, but with plastic instead of wood.
That's it. Yeah.
Highlight that one. If you want something really agricultural, try that.
Oh, that's cool. Does that dance around the table?
Oh yeah, bounces like crazy. But yeah, the tops of the clip have been covered in some sort of paint on plastic or dipping, some sort of dipped plastic, but it still bounces around if the motor has got enough out of balance. But it works quite well.
Yeah.
It's I use it more for testing controllers than doing anything else.
Hmm?
How so?
Well, it's just that I can then take the controller and hook it up to the power supply and hook it up to the motor, and everything is there and standing, and I don't have to have a motor running around, and then I can play with the controller with a load on the other side.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Better than having to unpack my track or uncover my track and go out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Or make a little oval out of plastic.
It would be a matter of finding space for that.
Yeah.
I have a plastic track that I got in a deal with Dewan that I just haven't got space for yet, let alone anything else.
Mm.
Got that. It's one of those wonderful old monogram Riverside sets. The problem is when you put it all together and you hook it up the way that it shows in the set, it's 17 feet long. It's only about 4 feet wide, but it's 17 feet long.
But Dennis, it was made for 1960s suburbia where there was nothing but space.
Yeah, well, 1960s didn't ever get to Irvine, California, that's for sure.
Even the couches and coffee tables were smaller back then.
Yeah, and so
Dennis just build a big room.
Yeah,
See,
I have to
Dewan's got the
basically
right
I need
idea.
to kind of build a framework that fits over my existing track and then put it on top of that.
Dewan,
Yeah.
that's the American way, man. Build bigger, better. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it's 17 feet long.
Oh, there were only 3 TV channels back then.
Yeah.
Well, because there was
TV?
slot car racing. Who needed television? Really?
That's true.
Needs it now.
Waiting
I
to
like-
get
I like the photo that John Weber's got up on his background today, the gray ghost.
It's Great Ghost, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. Actually saw that run at one of the Monterey Classic events at Laguna Seca and ran away and hid from everything else that day. It's a pretty cool car.
I've been collecting photos of the Gray Ghost, and I picked up a 1/32 scale monogram GTO static kit, and the problem is it's a 1965, which it has the vertical dual vertical headlights.
Yeah,
and so it's not quite as pretty as the Gray Ghost, but I think I'm gonna stretch it instead of try to modify the model to look like that. The wheelbase is the same, and
yeah.
the lines are very, very similar, but except for that. Anyway, I'm going to build one of those.
Yeah, and that
Nice.
monogram kit was actually the Aurora kit, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was from the Aurora molds that they
Wouldn't surprise me after seeing the kit. A lot of the details are a little on the thick side.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side though, John, all you have to do is turn the headlights horizontal. That's easy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of difference in the contour of the front fenders, of course, and the rear is a little bit different too, just a tiny bit. But I was thinking that they made the 65 body style for 2 years, but they didn't. It was 1 year.
Mm.
It was like a single year, the vertical headlight.
Well, GM could do that in the 60s because they had like 50% market share. So, they could do things like that.
Pontiac was third in sales in those years after Ford and Chevrolet. And who knows?
Yep, that was before John DeLorean decided to put a Coke can on wheels.
John, I've actually got a model of that was in the Aurora track set that I got, but I don't have it available to show right now. It's buried. So could send it to John to make a cast and then you could have one.
Yeah, there it is. John's got it up there.
Yep. Yeah, that was the Aurora. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
With a
Oh,
vertical.
now you're spotlighted. Show it now, John. Show it now.
I was too slow on the spotlight.
Oh, you've already painted it. Look at that.
No, it came that way. It was used. However, it has no glass, so I'm gonna have to make the glass, but that shouldn't be very hard. The this
It's only
glass
front and rear you need anyway, because
not very curvy. So
Yeah, it's this 66
this is 65.
65. Yeah.
or 65.
66 had the balloon rear fenders, kind of,
Yeah.
kind of, which was
We forgive you, Mike, because you're not that old.
No, I am that old. I had a buddy who had a 67. Oh, what did they call it?
Lon's
The
got one.
overhead cams 6.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that was a great motor. That was a really good motor.
Yeah, it was. The transmission not so good. He had a 3-speed on it, and he was a really fast shifter. So every Friday and Saturday we'd go out drag racing, and every Friday night and Saturday night after he blew second gear, I would replace the transmission and rebuild it. So I would be doing 2 transmission builds a weekend because he could outshift the tranny.
Now the other body you could use in addition to that Aurora, and of course now Don is holding up I guess it's a 1/24th or 1/25th scale convertible. But remember Carrera made a version of the GTO in 1/32nd scale.
yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
67
they did.
or 68.
Yeah.
Something.
but I think it was a 67.
Was it?
66.
You want me to go
or
get it?
something. They had similar.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
There we go now.
For those of us who didn't sit on a corner as a kid and identify every car that went by, your make and model.
That would be me.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to do that. I think I was 7 or 8 years old and we were sitting on the porch and oh, I know what that one is. I know what that one is.
Yeah.
When I was in high school and we were cruising from McDonald's to Shoney's and back, endlessly all night practically.
Oh, yeah.
On Friday or Saturday night. You had to know what you were up against there. So anyway,
You're muted, John.
I've got one.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was allowing others to speak, unlike some.
Oh, that never happens.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. He had a 67 Le Mans.
And this one you can see has been driven around a wee bit, so I've lost the light. No problem. I'll just make another one for it. But I mean, it's a really nice model, front
Yeah.
motor.
Yeah, cool. They have
the wheels aren't exact. Sorry, go ahead.
They have a street dragster version sort of it with flames and all that. It's black and it has flame paint on the front.
They got a Chevelle like that too.
Yeah.
I actually had an aunt. This is why I wanted it. I actually had an aunt who had one of these. She was like the coolest aunt in the world, and it had a 4-speed. I don't know what the motor was because I was rather young, but that's why I kind of wanted it. And she
Probably 400.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't. She was quite the lady. But
Well, that would the 3D9 or a 3D9.
oh yeah, that's it there. All right, yeah, there you go, John. See, Don, you beat me up. Oh, you beat me to it. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Those are cool. I have one of the Chevelles.
No,
Yeah,
no,
this
Don,
one's the digital one.
yeah, I was gonna say that's not a front motored one, is it?
No,
No, it's the
look at
standard
that.
stock car type chassis.
So the interior must be different then.
yeah, it's half interior. I mean, you got half a guy in there.
Ah, this one's a full interior with a full rear seat. It's really cool.
This one, you can't hardly even see the rear seat. But
I don't know. I don't know if you folks can, if you can see in there, but it's the full interior and a full rear seat. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Like, I know, we give Carrera a hard time, but they do their best. Really, they do their best.
yeah.
Well, they do a great job. They just make them weigh a ton.
Isn't that an old
German
movie?
company, hello. They like survive hot tubs and pools. Come on, try that with a slot it, folks. See how far you get. You put a slot it in hot water. You got with a little red sauce. You got a meal.
Isn't that an older model though? That like they don't make that chassis and everything anymore. That's like years
No.
old. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like me, old, real old.
John.
No, but but you know what? For the front motor, for a front motor chassis, it runs fine. It's great fun. Anyway, this is fun. I go back and support. This is awesome.
So, John, now that you're done with your proxy and everything, are you going to have time to do the rest of the casting?
Yeah, I was supposed to cast yesterday and today, only we had a little bit of a natural hiccup. So yeah, no electricity. Yeah. No, it's yes, absolutely. No, my wife has actually forced me to create a schedule because she said you got to get this stuff done. So she has scheduled me for work detail. Yes, I am. And if you think, you think you're tough as a boss, look at.
And for those of you that think I'm shirking in my test for the pod, I had multiple home issues this week, besides the fact that I came back from the beach. But other than that, I had washing machine issues and all kinds of other things that got in the way of doing slot car stuff. Didn't get away in the race though. We did get the race done.
As I saw until I didn't.
Until you were ignored.
Right.
One of these days, I'm going to get a computer that's going to be able to show me the comments of the 3 people that are watching.
It'll be so worthwhile.
I mean, if you don't need to see what the camera sees, you can swipe sideways to see what the chat is. I believe there's a way.
The problem is where I put it is up on the shelf behind me, and I can't really race and do that at the same time.
That's true. You won't be able to actually read it while you're driving a car around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do have that little intermission when you guys are sort of chit-chatting around. I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to look at what people were saying in the chat so you could respond.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's this damn computer stuff. I just don't. I'm not real one with it.
But the good news, like people, well, no, but if you do that,
open your stream on your phone or a separate device, and turn it on to handicap accessible, so it can read to you the comments.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
They'll be coming through
live.
live.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, you think that would be distracting while I'm racing? I have enough trouble as it is, for Christ's sake.
Well, you're trying to make the stream entertaining, so that would make it entertaining.
Distracted while racing. Have you seen a Formula One steering wheel? You want to talk about distracted by racing?
Oh yeah.
I mean, those guys are.
Did you notice though? It doesn't have a screen.
Yeah.
The frustration driving to the beach and trying to drive on a very curvy road and punch in the songs on the radio on the Bluetooth is just annoying. And of course, since you're bouncing all over the place, you bounce wrong 5 times.
That's a task for the passenger, I find.
Well, she was doing it and having to hit the wrong thing 5 times because the area that we were going was quite circuitous, let's say.
So you had to listen to Paul Anka singing "You're Having My Baby" 5 times straight.
Oh God. Please, please. You had to put that in my ear, John. You had to do it. Ah! Greg doesn't even get the reference, I'm sure.
No, I did not catch that one. Sorry. I know who Paul Anka is, but I don't know the song you're referring to.
Yeah, well, you should YouTube it, or check it out because
I mean, I've probably
it would
heard
be-
it like ages ago, but it's not like an earworm that you can just mention it and I'll remember it. So
thank God for that.
I thank God for that. If it's bad enough that you're cursing John's name after having mentioned it, thank you God.
That's what happens when you let Canadians write songs.
What you got, Gio?
I can share given that we are scraping the bottom of the barrel, maybe I can show a couple of the pictures that took last night racing, also sharing something around the short laps.
Yeah.
Although it's
Oh,
not
gosh, yeah.
As long as it's slot cars, go for it.
Okay, give me a sec. Okay, so we're just like 4 of us racing last night. So it was Mike T on the white one. Jan was racing the blue. Alex is on the green one, and I was racing the red one. So the red one, it's kind of I installed a new chip on that car that I just got from Armchair Racer, and already when I was doing some of the testing, the car was going into pit mode or not counting short lap, but for sure going into pit mode. And this was with the lane changers basically disabled, right? So there wasn't no power on the lane changers. But I was not 100% sure because it was a bit transient coming and going. So I tried, okay, let's see with the testing. And I know that also the white car chip had the problem with the all sensor, although I changed twice. Anyway, so this was just a short race, not short, was given there were just 4 of us, I want to just test them and iron out any kind of issues. So we did the usual 5 minutes practice, and as you can see, my car counted the 389, which is a short lap, and Combi also did the 62, which is too good for Combi, too good for these cars, let's say, because a quick lap at the end of the night was a 6.4 or something, 6.4 high, let's say. Okay, so what I did then was I changed all sensors in my car, but I didn't change the one on Combi car. So then we did the qualify, and of course Combi car took advantage of that and did a short lap, 338. So as you can see, mine was cured. I mean, I didn't have any major issues, and as I mentioned before, between the 3 of us, Jan, myself, and Alex. So Jan, again, remember, he prepared his own car, so there was really no much between us. So then, before going to race, I said, okay, shit, let's change Combi whole sensor. So we did a new one. Sorry, fuck. Apologies for that. Just came out. That's really bad, isn't it? Okay, so then I line up the cars for the race. So according to even like if we had the fake lap, so I think it's fine to give a bit of extra like up to Mike. So the race was again pretty close because the car performed well. And what do we got? So basically, even though I changed the bloody hose sensor, combi car again managed a 6.3. The other laps, I think they are all legit. So as I said, 6.45, 6.47 or something like that. I think it's kind of legit. I took it easy, so just one damage point. Alex had a bit more damage points because basically, and these are kind of same for all the cars applies, and have to see how to cure it. But when you come after the last corner on the main straight, if you kind of gun it, then the car has a tendency of lifting up the guide, and then basically goes, scraping through the main straight. So you have to be really careful. So overall, they're nice cars, but they, when they let go in a very weird way. Jan car, I mean, he is using old chip that has some kind of issues. And again, these are kind of another strange things. So when there is a truck call, and so sometimes basically there is I think connectivity issues, and because we're doing the truck call receiving automatically from the chip when the chip detects that is not powered, basically Jan's chip is kind of throwing all these kind of mixed up signals and confuse the RMS. So I mean, this is a problem with this chip. But what also means is that all these truck call that is fake truck call that is chip is issuing, the way in which I set up the race is that every time cars come off, a chunk of the tire is taken, and we have only 2 tires. We start with the one set, another set in the pit. So I want to make sure that people are extra careful with the tire management with the truck calls, because the more you come off, basically, the more tires you chew up, and then you don't have any tires. So basically, it's simulating almost like crash and burn. So because once you don't have any tires, you're not counting lap, you're going slow. The only option is go to the pit. Okay, and because of these issues, kind of with the fake truck calls that Jan Chip was throwing, I mean, his tires, even like the car was sitting there in the truck call, you would see like the stuff truck call, and the tires going down. I mean, it was hilarious to see that. Anyway, so this kind of 17 is a bit of kind of an extreme side. But anyway, so coming back to the short laps, so I saw this combi thing, and so while I was testing, this was over the weekend, I think, I decided, I don't know why, to kind of mess around with the brakes from my car and kind of solve the issues a bit until it happened again. And so then I was thinking like, okay, this looks like maybe something to do with how clean the braids are or not. And so what I did then, from after this race, I started putting a bit of inox on my braids and combi braids, and then the issue of short lap disappeared, at least for this race. Now, maybe some of the new chip coming out, so this chip that have these short kind of lap issues, it might be related to how clean the brake or how sensitive the chip might be to sparks happening in the braids, especially when going over the lane changers. So nothing super definitive from that, but I believe that after doing that, and maybe I forgot once, and then we had again short lap, as we can see. But after doing that, I think that the issue kind of was gone. So, and as I mentioned before, so these are 100 laps. So the first car that goes over the 100 laps basically wins, but all the cars have to go through. And so basically before we realized that Jan's car was sitting on the pit, and then he had to go out before basically stopping the race, and that's why we got 101 laps. Anyway, so moving to the second race, these are the grid, and then we got here, and I forgot to basically to put what's called it, actually Inox. Actually, I put maybe from after this race on my car, and this is what happened again: the 3240 and combi 61. And so after this race, I think I put the Inox on both cars before each race, and seems the situation kind of changed. So then, you know, the reason I'm putting lights was because one race in dark, so this is semi-dark, and yeah, so basically no short laps after using Inox. And again, both, yeah, Alex here showing up his tires, and then had to go to the pit and stay there because we ran out of tires. I think he might have changed during one early pit stop, and again, Jan basically halfway through was out of tires. So I don't know if I have to put another set, but I think he needs to fix his chip or change his chip. And then this dark condition. The best car actually in completely dark condition is the white one because it's semi-translucent, so you can see a lot of extra lights coming through. And again, I put Inox on both my car and combi, and no short laps. And here, basically, yeah, there is you discover more and more bugs with RCSO2. For this race, for this class of race, I'm enabling. I think it's kind of doing the fuel and tires, and maybe even repair at the same time. And as a consequence, actually, there is a bug in the software, and I have not to be able to replicate it, but they are able to. So if you are repairing, you can do tires, and instead of taking the 10 seconds that it should take, it takes like 0 seconds. And so Alex, when he took the pit, did that, I was able to have almost 1.5 lap in front of me, and I was not able to catch up with him. So that's how. Yeah, we're very close, but you know, no cake for me there.
Was there a track call during his when he pulled in? Did there happen to be a track call?
No. So I have enabled the option of stopping the pit lane procedures during track calls, so in order to make it a bit even.
Yeah, I haven't done it with RCS2, but with RCS64, I also had the pause pit activity during a track call turned on, but there were times when if a track call happened after I had started a process, then once the track call cleared, I was full.
It's not that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that everything stops. It's really while you're doing it, and I'm sure that because so basically while you kind of you are kind of repairing, I think that if you go to tires, then you can kind of get them done instantly. I mean, does not does not wait or does it properly. And I'm not sure if this is a bug of the fact that I'm using the option of doing multiple things at the same time. So I have to double check. I know there was a bug around I think this was one of the other guys that were able to kind of identify that you can do things instantaneously if you mess around a bit, but I don't believe it's the same bug because everybody was able to kind of replicate it during the race except myself.
Yeah.
So basically I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to disable the repairing and doing stuff at the same time, so that everything gets to happen sequentially and we avoid that mess. But it would be really nice if the guys from RCS, would start developing these things again. Because there are, I don't know, I think now there are 4 or 5 bugs that are kind of creeping up. And again, you can still use it. I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot use it, but it's I think it's time. It's time, because I think it's been it's around 5 years without any updates on these. I hope that they are done with Chrono 2, although over there I think there are some issues, but yeah. And yeah, by the way, so this stuff about the short laps, I think with Inox, I think it's something that I will need to kind of investigate a bit more. And again, this does not have anything to do with going over the start finishing line and coming off, because that one, I think it's another bug. So we will see.
Yep.
Gio, do you remember?
Hello.
Do you remember seeing many short laps occurring during the 24-hour race? I'm certain that there were a lot of them in qualifying, but was there many in the race that you were aware of?
No, I'm not. I mean,
No.
I didn't look for that.
You didn't look for that?
No. I mean, it would be nice if they would post after the race all those short laps, because I don't know what I mean, it's not 100% clear what they were doing with that.
Well, I think they were doing the same as they did in Suzuka, and that was just deleting your best lap and letting it set a new one as the race progressed.
That's for qualify, which is okay. I mean, I'm talking about during the race. Did they sum up? Like every short lap, making one lap, or they were completing our lap? Because if they were doing that, that's not fair. I lost then a lot of laps.
I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be nice if they would post.
All I do know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Maurizio took the data home with him to look through. Certainly, Maurizio was one of the people affected by a short lap during qualifying, because I was witness to the conversation he was having with race control, animated and very Italian as it was.
I mean, he's Italian. What do you expect?
Exactly.
What do you know what causes that, by chance?
No, they've been working on this for a long time now, and there's been a change in the software to put into the firmware, I should call it, to put into the digital chip to try and eradicate the problem, and doesn't seem to have gone away, not yet.
No.
Yeah, it's ongoing work, is that. And on that, off the back of that subject, unless anyone else has got more, has anyone seen that Dr. C is very close to having a complete digital system now?
Yep.
Who? Sorry? Who?
So there's a guy that's been in the digital slot car world for a while, and without getting into too much of the nitty gritty, at this point he's basically developed an kind of an offshoot of Scalextric Digital and a new wireless protocol. I don't know what, if anything, he might be using similar to Oxygen or anything. I think it's his own wireless protocol. But basically, it's a system where the cars are controlled wirelessly, but through a wireless hub that's controlled by the PC, specifically so that it can have the throttle and everything manipulated by the PC, like we've been doing with RCS 64, like Mike uses to do fuel simulation, tire simulation, weather simulation, all this stuff, but wirelessly with cars, and chips like Oxygen as far as wireless control, and up to 24 or even 36 cars, all while being functional on a standard Scalextric Digital track as far as lane changing capabilities, and just a fairly simple new start finish line, lap counter track with basically more LED sensors so that it can reliably detect more more cars, basically, because as the number of cars goes up, the length of the LED ID information gets longer and harder to detect. But anyways, he's actually been working on this for a couple of years now, and is at the point where he's bringing a prototype of his system to a digital club, and they're going to do their regular racing, and then they're going to basically stress test his system so he can find out, if and presumably what needs to be changed or fixed or made better or whatever.
So does he have his own chip as well? His own digital chip? So is he?
Yeah, his own in-car chip, his own controllers. Okay. I think the only thing that is standard is the Scalextric digital lane changers, because he's got his own lap counter. But the track is powered by straight voltage, like oxygen. And other than, yeah, I mean,
that lap counting business that Henry's been running, where he's got threads in, and he's counting them from the track rather than from any hall sensor. I'm pretty sure that's one of the interim steps. He's been building this up, each element at a time. And I think the last element that he's created is the control element for between car and controller, between driver, car, and controller, and it functions in multiples of a dozen. So is that right, Greg? You have a hub.
That sounds right, because he's always talking about 12, 24, or 30. Well, no, 30. For some reason, I think I hear 32 in my head rather than 36. But anyways, it's a high number, but it's all still using the infrared strobing that Scalextric Digital is based on. So the lap counting is still based on the infrared strobing, but the control is wireless like oxygen, except it goes through a hub to the computer and back to the hub to the car.
Does he have any pictures of the chips? To see how big they are. Okay.
They're no bigger than an oxygen chip, and I mean he's currently working on a prototype where he's basically got two components, so he can do his testing and changing without changing the whole chip. He can change part of the chip and yada yada and stuff. But the end result chip is going to be small. I mean, this is the same guy who did the first micro-sized chip for Scalextric Digital that Rick decided that he was totally going to do for Scorpius, yet it never happened in the real world. So Dr. C knows how to make a teeny weeny chip.
How many lanes would something like that be needed to?
As many as you want. As many as your track can support. So if it's based on Scalextric Sport track for the lane changers, that's an 8-lane track because they only have 4 turn radii. But since it uses that same technology, it should work on oxygen lane changers too, the Polycar lane changers, and that's what, 10 lanes capable or 12 lanes capable?
With digital racing, the thing is there's no need to go any more than about 4.
Yeah. The whole point is lane changing, so you don't want to just make a big, super wide, tons of lanes track for digital.
34 lanes, 36 lanes, whatever, 36 cars, whatever. That's just an awful lot of cars.
It's not even possible for analog. It's literally impossible for analog, unless you have
quite honestly, Dewan, there isn't a track or a venue that's large enough to get 36 drivers stood around it.
Yeah, the practicality of the system is less about the functionality of the hardware as it is the capability of the venue to have that many. Even if you don't do a team race, if it's just individual racers, you got to have a podium that'll hold that many people, and it's just bigger than most rooms.
Yeah, and then also you need the marshals.
Marshals. Yeah. So the track's got to be used many. Yeah, I mean, basically, the only way you'd be able to do something like that is if you did what they did for the last 24-hour race in the gymnasium, and you had a whole separate rostrum for drivers to stand on the other side. So you have 2 12 to 15 person rostrums for drivers on opposite sides of the room, and then a whole separate room for all the pit tables to accommodate all those drivers, because there's not enough room in the gymnasium for the track and the drivers and and race control. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that system, he has been posting publicly on slotracer.online. He doesn't post on any other forums as far as I'm aware, at least not about that system.
What do you make this?
But there will be information on what happens at that race on Slot Forum, because there is a topic on Slot Forum that talks about them doing a digital race and then testing a new digital system. Is it at best?
No, he's coming to Rockingham.
Rockingham. Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I can't attend.
Yeah, but there will be other people, so we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
But we're past 2 hours, so I'm going to end the stream. Everybody wave bye. Bye bye. Ending the stream.